Well, hey everybody, welcome back. Getting ready to start working on the photo backdrop. And this is just sort of a quick shot of the before, what I had, and it should run almost to where those hoppers are sitting on that back wall there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start over there on that short section on the outer wall and work my way from right to left. And the pieces should fit together like dominoes. One piece should fit nicely against the next one, and so we'll see how it goes. Most of the backdrop, so this section in front of me and all the other ones that are bifold doors, this back surface is literally just the surface of a closet door. Other places in between, that's like a little piece of 1/4 inch Luan, or it's like a plywood type thing where I just tied it in. Same thing here with this little stretch right here, and then right here it goes back to the back of a door, and it's that way all the way across till you get over to that corner. It's plywood again. So it's a wood background with some latex paint, and some places had some acrylic where I'm not very artistic, but I did my best to make it look okay through the trees. But I think the photo is going to look a heck of a lot better. So more to come as I make some progress. All right. Just kind of messed around a little bit. I've got this one little piece that fits on this wall here. And then there's a piece with like a city with trees and stuff that's going to go here, and then back to trees going that way. So I was just kind of messing around with this this small piece on the end, and I knew that these backdrops were 18 inches tall, and I think I knew somewhere in the depths of my memory that because I put a piece of foam here, that from the surface of the phone to the top of the backdrop that I have is actually 17 inches. Or 17, something like 17 inches. So my initial thought was, well, that's fine. I'll just go get some hardboard, some masonite, cut it into 18-inch strips, and mount that against what I already have. Problem solved, right? Except that would play havoc with some of the buildings I've already built that occupy a very specific amount of space between the surface of the backdrop and where that loading dock is and the rails. Like that this building can't come this way anymore, and it would need to if I slid even an 1/8 inch thick something back there. So I think I need to mount directly to what I have. Same thing with this building, although this would be less of a big deal. This road is cut so that this building actually slips down slightly behind it. And this one is cut so that this comes over and lines up nice and even. So if I brought this forward, just a little bit, the road wouldn't quite line up. It would almost run into the corner of the building a little bit if I had to bring that building forward. Not to mention all the complication with the trees and the fact that this hill is built out of foam that's been glued down and up against the backdrop that would have to be dug out. So I think what I'm gonna do, like I said, is mount straight on the board. And rather than cut the top of these things off, I thought if I got this nominal 1x2, it's actually 1.5 inches, is just about perfect for how much more I need. If I get these 1x2s and mount them on top of what I have, all the way around, nice and flush with the surface of what I have, I'll be able to actually just use the full backdrop and not break quite so many trees and stuff over here and ruin all this scenery that I've already done. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And as if I get down low, by the way, the reason for all this, that I think looks pretty cool. If you picture that going all the way around, I mean, that adds so much depth to what I have. I mean, other than that little blue line, which I would cover up with foliage and stuff, like you wouldn't, like you'd think the scenery goes on forever and I was some kind of master at making scenery, which I'm most definitely not. So I think I'm pretty excited for it. Looking at it from that view, you can kind of picture the kind of depth that that's going to give me. Anyway, pretty happy with it. The paper is super thick. The photo quality is really good. Yeah, more to come, as I haven't actually glued that yet or done anything with that board. It's just clamped into place. But as I cut those to fit and add more of the photo going around, I will continue to keep y'all updated. Hey, just a quick little in progress with the backdrop extension started. This is just 1x2 attached to the top of what I had, just to extend things up a bit. So that should get me started. Just a quick in progress. I am starting to wipe down and sand any little beads of latex paint that might have dripped when I did the there's actually 2 coats on here. At one point it was a much darker blue. As I pan over here to some of the mess I made, you can see how much darker that first blue was versus what I went to later. But these are all just places where I thought it'd be a good idea to come in and sand any of the ridges and stuff so that the paper of the photo backdrop lays nicely. So yeah, just some prep work. I still need to come in from this point on. That's not that 1x2 there is not attached here. This was really thin, so I thought, let me give myself a little shelf to have a attachment point there and there and then there, and that'll hold it nice and rigid and straight. So coming along, I think here in just a minute I'm starting to put some things here to cover up. I might actually take that building out of here, better safe than sorry. Move the cars out of the way, and I'll be gluing up that first piece there here in just a second. One other quick note here. If you look closely right there, you'll see a broken tree trunk, and there's another one right there. And there are the trees, and those kitties that you guys have seen in prior videos are no longer allowed in the train room. All right, I did go ahead and move all of the buildings that were there just out of the way. They're all stuck over there. And got this bad boy lined up as good as I think I'm going to be able to get it. So I think it's about time to go for it. Also, we are ventilated. I know this adhesive's not probably great to breathe in. So wish me luck. Well, I didn't break anything. I think the limits of my carpentry are exposed in the corner there. That is not that square. So I got it over against this panel that way as much as I could. And then the next piece will link up right there with that pattern and go this way. So yeah, I think that's gonna look good. Yeah, more to come. All right, another little in progress here. As I said before, I didn't break anything over there, and I'm starting to put this piece out now, and I've got a couple. That building and that one are actually kits, and the rest of what you see is part of the backdrop. So that corner over there is not perfect. You can still see the tiniest little bit of blue right there. But there's going to be a building in front of it. So I think that's pretty good. That's pretty close. And I am really happy with how this is coming together. I have not glued this big piece. I was just getting it straight, and that little seam in the corner is attached, but the rest of it's not glued in yet. So more to come. This is the only bit of what I was going to do that has any buildings in it at all for now. The rest of it will just be woods line, like what that little shorty over there is. So more to come. Better safe than sorry with overspray of that adhesive. I'm going to be spraying right up to the edge of that. Anything going over my storage tracks, all the trains and staging. I don't want anything getting all over that, and I'm starting to cover things up here as well. I can't move the fuel dealer. It's permanently attached. But I think it's largely out of the way. Maybe I'll put a few paper towels on top of that too, just to be safe. All right, just kind of showing the process here. I got these backdrops from Trackside Scenery, and Joey Ricard and his wife run that outfit, and they have some videos on YouTube that show how to do this. But in short, you just work in sections. The first thing you do, like you saw earlier, was get everything laid out straight, and then clip one end of it to your existing backdrop. And then you work about, a foot, maybe 16 inches at a time, using this stuff right here. Let's see if I can turn this around. Where's the front label? There it is, Super 77. It's just a non-water-based spray adhesive. You spray it on, let it get nice and tacky, then unroll about a foot at a time. Then use like a squeegee or a rolled up magazine or something, and I found this little knockdown knife. And the back of that it's actually foam, very soft, and I just work that gently over the backdrop to spread it out nice and flat, nice and straight. But if you really want to check these out and see how to do it, watch Joey's video on YouTube. He explains it a lot better, but I'm basically just following his process. Okay, I've been working on this most of the evening, and I've got the first 2 sections in. So Manchester looks like this now. Once the buildings go back, it should look even better. But I really like the look of that. So I've turned my attention to that wood piece up there, the one that runs along the top over here, and there's a small corner there with a bend. I'll come back to that. And one more piece sitting right there. And I've just got a 5/8 inch drill bit kind of wedged back in there to hold this at kind of the right plane here so that this is nice and flat. It's just in there with wood glue. Once the glue dries, I'll pull that out. And it's time to turn my attention to how in the world, and I knew this was going to be a thing, but how in the world am I going to get the backdrop behind all those trees? Well, I ruminated on it for a second there, a couple minutes, and recalled that hill is made of 2 pieces of 1-inch thick foam on top of each other. So if I measure correctly, and I come over to where the hill starts, and then I make a little slope, and then I cut the bottom 2 inches off, that just might work. And then for the little portal from staging, I can just cut that off, glue the backdrop on the front, go right over it, and then come behind it and just trace right around the opening and with a sharp knife and just take it right off of there. So that might work. I'm gonna think about that a little bit more. I might call it a night, sleep on it, and see if I wake up with any brilliant ideas. Okay, well, I slept on that decision, and I am going to just cut the bottom of the backdrop along that contour and slip it in behind, and try not to break too many trees. I don't know how else to do it. Also been working, I think I mentioned before, I was working on these pieces over here. They're all permanently attached now. There's a few places where there was, a little bit of a ridge there, and so I've just got some putty on those places, especially in that corner there. This piece right here, as it's on the door, is flat, and then there's one little part right here to that corner from there is not part of the door, and it's actually at a slight angle that comes back towards us a little bit. So I just created a little bit of a wedge shape and got that in there. I'll sand that all down nice and smooth so the backdrop has something to take. Same thing going across there, just any places along there. Here the existing blue was sticking out a little bit further than that 1x2, and then down at the end it was off kind of the other way, so just kind of built that up, let all that dry, sand it down, and we'll be back to putting the paper up. Okay, here's the plan. I need to cut some backdrop here. So here's the seam with the one that I've already put up with the buildings. I need to come 5 inches over, and then over the course of 4 inches, I need to have 2 inches of rise, so a nice little angle there, basically a 1/2 inch slope. And then from there, I just go straight across 2 inches from the bottom. That's the plan. That is a 100 pack of number 11 blades. And that is a brand new number 11 blade. Anytime you're cutting paper or wood or anything like that, you want a fresh blade on there so it makes a nice clean cut and doesn't do any tearing. And yeah, just good practice to put the old blades in a box like that. Once that's full, I'll just throw the whole thing away. And this is my workbench with as little on it as has been there in a very long time. And a nice, you know, here's the before. I've ruined the very nice backdrop from trackside scenery. This is the Valley Flats, the one with some evergreen in it, just for some variety. This is a, I believe, 48-inch long section, and then after this, I will do a 90-inch long section that gets 90 or 96, something like that, whatever the standard long one is. Anyway, but the next one won't have the evergreen in it, so the trees and stuff will be a little bit different. So here's the before, just holding it down with some 1, 2, 3 blocks. It's on my self-healing mat with you know, the inch graduations here, so I can make my cuts. And I'm going to use, you know, metal straight edge to keep my cuts nice and straight. Wish me luck. And just quickly to show y'all, I'm not just winging this. I went on the website and pulled down the various backdrops and laid them out end to end, marked where corners and such were. So what I've done so far is this section over here. That's a little shorty on the end, and then this is the one that's sort of behind Manchester. This is where I'm going to have to come over, cut up, which is what I'm working on now, is this section right here. It's a 48-inch section. And then to the left of that, coming off of this the last corner here, it should get me most of the way across that long wall. It's a 112-inch wall. I'm going to use a 96-inch long, so I'm saying 90 in the last snip. It's actually going to be 96 inches of the not evergreen one, just the standard level woodland. I think that's going to look good. Anyway, that's the plan. And here I'm just thinking through other ones that are available, and as I move behind the yard, you know, what I will want to do, which ones do I want to use. So there's more to the left, but these sections that are on the screen now across that top row there, that's what I'm working on now. Well, no turning back now. If I've screwed this up, out the cost of this backdrop. Well, I realized I would still probably want the photo backdrop as far as that. So I've measured from that end of the backdrop back this way. I'm going to just do, I think, 10 inches off the edge. That way I can trim more if I need to once it's up. But 10 inches from the edge, I will stop cutting the lower part off, let it come down, and then build that little slope into it. I would just like this little area right here to have sky on it. That's all. Or not sky, trees. Well, that's done. We'll see how this, hopefully this fits. All right, just got it mocked up how it's gonna be. And I tell you what, if any of y'all are thinking about building a layout and using a photo backdrop someday, I wasn't originally. It occurred to me later. But if you're thinking about it, do it before you do any scenery. Over here where I could remove buildings and stuff, this was so much easier. I gotta figure out now, I still have a few places to trim, and you know, that tree looks like a hurricane just blew through. A couple other little things. All that scenery had to come out because it was up against the backdrop, so I had to pull it off. To make room for this, I'm gonna have to adjust for the portal over there. I knew that. I left some extra there on purpose. I mean, this is gonna look great. I like this. But it sure would have been a lot easier if I had done this ahead of time. So, after I get the last little bits trimmed here, I got to figure out how to glue this bad boy up, because I cannot unroll it from one side, probably right to left, as I did before, because all those trees are in the way. So, we're still thinking, we're still brainstorming as we go. Stick with it. All right, just a quick progress. Got that one in. That was a bit of a bear. Have a couple of bent and broken trees to deal with, but not too bad. and it actually came just a little past that corner, which I guess my measurements were off a little bit. That's okay, because this wall here is way longer than 96 inches, so I'm gonna end somewhere over in there, and that'll be it for now. But it came together pretty good. You get up close, you can kind of see there's a seam there, but it's not too bad. And overall, that just looks way better than the plain blue paint I had up there before, like what's over there. So eventually the plan would be to go all the way around, but for now, I'm gonna get it over to here. I'm gonna start this next one here. And other than monkeying around with getting it behind a few trees there, from here over, and for the whole rest of the layout, I won't do any more scenery till I get that up. That way I can follow, you know, Joey Ricard's method of unrolling it the way that I talked about earlier in the video. So just a quick look before I get the last one going. Okay, I got everything I'd ordered so far up. And I'm not the best installer, that's for sure. The backdrop I think it looks nice. The quality's there, for sure. As I worked my way through here, I was following the method where you roll it and do it a little at a time. As I got to here, as I've said before, with all those trees, I had to cut parts of the bottom of the backdrop off to get it to slip down in there. Obviously, it looks like a tornado's come through. I broke a number of trees here. That's pretty easy to fix. That seam, I had a little boo-boo up in there, but that's, you know, pretty far out of your line of sight if you're watching the trains. And then as I went across, I realized too late as I was over here that I was starting to sag down to the, you know, slightly downhill to the left. And so I pulled a bunch of it off trying to straighten it and ended up with some creases. That's user error. That's me not doing the way I was supposed to. If I had to do this again, I would probably just tear all the trees out and do it the way that he shows it in the videos, and then put the trees back. I tried to take a shortcut and ended up with that. That's my fault. I can live with it again. So just to show the whole thing I've done is about half the layout. So I've got, you know, Manchester, the woods area, this sort of scenic or unscenic area, and then I've still got the yard in another phase, and then the area along that back wall, and yet another one, or maybe I'll do those two together. But what I won't do is I won't do any scenery in any of these places until I've got it up, because it just trying to work around existing scenery is why I have issues, and that's not how you're supposed to do it. This is supposed to be one of the first things that goes up. So it's, you know, I think it looks great. Yeah, I'm pleased with it overall. The only issues I had were of my own doing, taking the shortcut by not taking the trees down, and then just not planning ahead. So if you're making a layout and you want to have a photo backdrop, do it first. Don't do anything else. A lot of the literature will say, you know, start with the backdrop. Well, this is why. So anyway, overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. I just need to rebuild some trees, and I'll have this have some freight cars spread around and be operating again in no time. I hope y'all are well. Thanks for watching.